been always told that more risk brings you more reward. So the risk and reward has got the correlation. And as you take more risk, it's likely that you take more rewards. And that's one of the reasons you're in business. You're in business to make more money, probably have more flexibility and do what you like to do and you love to do rather than working for somebody else. So if you're in business, you know that there is a risk involved. But what's happening around the world with coronavirus in last month or so, you see there are lots of risk around. And this is not the first time we had earthquake, it's a volcano, it's a pandemic. There are so many things can happen in the world, a tsunami, and that can interrupt your business. And it's one of the most important documents you should have in your business as part of your business plan, or separate from your business plan in your business, to have a risk management. Sounds a very big, like a business plan, so do not procrastinate. It's very simple. It's just one single page to think about and see what are the risks that you have. The risk can be categorized differently. So one of the risks that you have is a risk for your supply. Suddenly coronavirus happen, all the supply from China stops. What are you going to do? Do you have another supplier? What is your contingency plan? It can be insurance, it can be more money, it can be another supplier, or none of them. It might just be another line of products that you might have that can give you that cash flow while you're waiting. And some of them you cannot stop. And that's unfortunate, but at least you know that is a risk. And because that depends on other things that you do. So if you know that you have that bigger risk, at least you know that if that happens, you have to take some steps and make sure that you minimize the risk. You might not be able to stop it, but you can minimize it as much as you can. The other thing is the customers. So if you have customers like tourism industry in New Zealand, all the customers coming from China, well, lots of it coming from China, or cruise businesses, what's going to happen then? All the forestry products, they can't go. All the fishery products, they got affected by this. So as I say, some of them cannot be stopped. Some of them, it can be stopped by having insurance in place. Some of them, they might have some capital. Some of them, they might be able to think outside the box and use those resources to do something else in the meantime to create more income for themselves. So supply, customers. The other thing is the money. So the money risk. So money risk is an important risk because sometimes either the exchange rate changes, so you have exchange rate. Sometimes you give a credit to a company that can go down. And if you work with a big company and all your contracts are with the same company and that company goes out because of a risk happened to them, you get affected as a domino effect and you're not going to get paid and the company is bankrupt. And we've seen that in the last 2 or 3 years with big names in New Zealand, that the contractors couldn't get even the equipment out of the sites or the money back because the company gone down and they're all out of pocket. So it takes a long time for them to get the money back, and if they get, I don't know how much of it they're going to get back. So making sure that you have term and condition in your contract with your customers. If exchange rate, have a chat with the experts and put some levers in place. Make sure that is not going to affect you. If suddenly US dollar drops because of something, an election, that's going to affect you. You have to stop that. The other thing is a bank sometimes stop because they get scared. They stop all the lending and say, okay, we have this line of credit for you. It's going to be stopped. How are you going to, if all your business is relying on that line of credit and it's stopped, you have to find another ways to bring that money in and finance it. So it's very important to think about it. You put it on a piece of paper. You have some plans or something in your mind, so it's not going to hit you by surprise. The other thing is the staff. Like if you're outsourcing, for example, in Philippines, and it's some natural disaster in Philippines or coronavirus or something, and nobody can work, do you have things in place? How are you going to manage it? Can you switch that to other places? If you have a key person, if one person knows everything about your business and that person disappears that day for any reason, leaves the company, resigns, gets sick, dies, what are you going to do? Do you have any insurance in place? Do you have a second person trained? Does anybody else know the passwords and things that one person know? That person might be even you. what your parents and kids or shareholders and directors of the company are going to do if you know everything and nobody else knows anything about you do. So staffs are important, the location of the staff, those key people that run everything, to make sure that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So that's a main message. Not put all your eggs in one basket. The other thing is it's your data and your customer data, anything that you have. It's very important these days, and I see steel companies, they're relying on a server on in the premises, and the staff still need to come and pick up the phone on a headset in the office to be able to work. It is very important these days for risk protection, for the lifestyle, for everything, for flexibility for staff, so they can work from home or the other places. So if you don't have your data in the cloud and you don't have all the systems in place that the staff can answer the phone from home, from their mobile phones, and be able to run the business as usual, if anything happened to your office, so like just imagine your office is flooded. So we're not talking about coronavirus even. So your office is flooded. What are you going to do? Can you just get all the staff to pick up the laptop, go to home, and work from there? Or if the coronavirus is there and everybody needs to be isolated, how are you going to still run your business? What are you going to do? So think about that data and systems in place that you have in your business, and how are you going to survive if anything happens. The other one is the government. So if you're relying on a government funds or government giving you something, you have to be careful. Other thing is the legislation. So if you go in deep to selling one thing and suddenly that one thing stops, like just imagine if you're in a plastic bag manufacturing and government decides to get rid of the plastic altogether, how is it going to affect you? So the things that government that can make decision for you, because it's political, they make a decision regardless if you like it or not. So it is very important to have risk in place. Like if you go get very rich doing decontamination for P-labs and things, I don't know, the legislation changed and the whole industry changed. Now everybody just goes and sells vapes. If the legislation changed, what they're going to do if the government say, hey, you can't change vapes. So you have to think about the government and how it can change the direction that your business go, or just to stop it altogether. So one day you have a business, the next day you don't have a business. There are a lot more risks. So if I have missed any categories, so I put it as suppliers, customer, money, staff, government, and also systems and data. So if there is any risk category that I missed, I'm sure I missed something, please make a comment. If you have any solution for any of these risks that you can share with others that you experienced and it worked for you, anything outside the box that is there in your mind and you can share it with other business owners, please do. The other thing you can do at the time of risk, that like what we have now with coronavirus, is be kind to each other. Like us, if any of us, our clients is suffering from what happened in coronavirus and the business is affected, we subsidize or we just wipe the fees because they need help. They need more help from us for the cash flow purposes, and they have to survive this period so we can have them as a client in the long term. So be kind to each other. If any of your customers or suppliers are affected, or any people around you are affected by this risk, whether it's a coronavirus or in the future might be earthquake, might be something else, and it's happening a lot, fire. So be kind to each other as a business owners, as a human. We have to take care of each other. It's very important to be kind to each other. Hope it's been useful, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.